Now it's time for the second half of my February comic haul. Welcome back to Comics Are Dope. I'm BJ Kicks, and this is part 2 of my February comic haul. Now, as you know, of course, February is Black History Month here in the United States, and I decided for the first time since I started this channel to really kind of go all in on Black History Month. So for the month of February, I kind of challenged myself to grab a bunch of Black comics. These are comics featuring Black creators and or Black characters. During the month of February, there's a lot of titles that I didn't have before now, even though I cover and read, Black comics fairly regularly, like all year round. So anyway, if you missed part one was me going back and getting some stories and issues that were important from a historical perspective or had been like sort of best selling Black comics that for whatever reason I didn't already have in my collection, like the King comics biography by Ho-Che Anderson or the March trilogy by the late Congressman John Lewis. So check that out. Links up there may have already passed by. This time, the second half of this comic haul is mostly books that are newer. Some of the newer publisher-focused initiatives like DC Power, like the Black History Month variants. And so we're going to go ahead and jump right in. Before I show you some of the newer things, there is something I forgot to show you guys in the last video. So one of the first things I got this month was this. This is Static Shock, the New 52 series from DC Comics, issues 1 through 6. Now, if you know me, you know I'm a big Milestone fan, but you also know that I do not hold this series in high regard at all. This New 52 Static, for all I'm concerned, does not exist. But you guys know I have, a full collection of Milestone comics. And technically, this isn't a Milestone comic. Technically, this is a DC comic. So I felt like my collection was complete without it. But eventually, the completist in me couldn't leave them just sitting uncollected. So this is issues 1 through 6. The series was an 8-issue series written by John Rosen and Scott McDaniel, later disavowed by John Rosen, and I guess still loved by Scott McDaniel. And there's drama behind this series. And if you actually read this series, you'll know why. It feels disjointed. There are decisions that are made that are just like super questionable. And I'm just glad that we got a new iteration of Static, because for all I'm concerned, this could have killed the character. This absolutely could have. But anyway, Static Shock, New 52, issues 1 through 6. I still need issues 7 and 8, but I found these for a great deal on eBay. And I was in the Black History Month buying mood, so I bought them. Sue me. Now, let's talk about another sort of older relic that I grabbed. And this being a more recent edition. Now, in part 1, you saw that I grabbed issues 1 through 3 of Tribe. Tribe being a superhero team by Larry Stroman and Todd Johnson. Larry Stroman of like X Factor fame. It was a 90s series that honestly didn't go crazy far. Issue 1 was the biggest selling comic book or single issue featuring a Black team. It sold over 1 million issues for Image Comics, and then right after that, their relationship with Image Comics dissolved, and they put out a couple more issues and some trading cards, right? Well, these are those trading cards. I've got the full set of, I believe, 90 trading cards. Is it a full set? Is it 90? I don't know. Maybe the listing just said 90 as in like the year, like the 90s. But these trading cards are from Press Pass. The company is Press Pass. And what's really cool is, like, as you can see, they each, every set of 9 kind of connects to form an overall image. But also, when you look at these, they tell a story, which is interesting. Now, I've not read my issues of Tribe just yet, so I don't know who I'm looking at. I don't know who you're looking at right now. But still, some really cool stuff. The fact that, like, you know, Milestone had trading cards. Everybody had trading cards in the 90s. But to be able to pull off a deal with a trading card company when, you know, you're basically doing a creator-owned title and you're one issue in, like, that's something of note. Oh, cool. These are holographic, these last four. We got Blind Spot, Aloof, Fly Girl. Huh. Cool stuff. So these came out in the year 1993, the same year as the DC Milestone Skybox trading cards. So the 90s, man, what a time. Now that we've got that out of the way, I want to get to some more recent pickups, recently created books. So we'll start with the sort of small press and creator owned stuff. So one of the things I was really glad to do, I just conducted an interview with Greg Burnham, who is a writer. He's written a lot of stuff for DC Comics as of late, but his claim to fame was actually a creator-owned series that he did with Marcus Williams called Tuskegee Heirs. And this is Tuskegee Heirs, The Flames of Destiny, Volume 1. This collects issues 1, 2, and 3 of the series. Right now, there are 4 issues out, so I got to grab that issue 4. But Tuskegee Heirs follows this team of young pilots, and it's set in the future in like basically the year 2090-ish. And it's in an era where manned flight is illegal. It's been outlawed. No one's allowed to fly a plane for reasons that I guess we'll find out sooner than later. But this team of kids operates on a covert team, kind of like the Ninja Turtles, right? They operate from in the shadows. They are saving the world from threats known and unknown, but they have to do it while being undercover, because if they ever found out, like, that'd be the end for them. And the sentiments aren't necessarily in their favor, even when they are saving the world. And the person that is training them, their sort of master splinter figure, if you will, is the descendant of one of the original Tuskegee Airmen. And so this team of like fighter pilots decides to name themselves the Tuskegee Heirs, as in like the next generation of Tuskegee Airmen. And this book does a great job of giving you action, giving you amazing art, and sprinkling like bits of history nuggets in here and there. This does not feel like a lecture at all, despite the sort of historical framing implied by the title. And that's been a hallmark of Greg Burnham's work. And this book is dope. This book is super dope. I don't know why I took so long to buy it, because I've been hearing about it for like the last 2.5 years. If you mention indie Black comics, Tuskegee Heirs is going to be the next sentence you hear from somebody. But anyway, Tuskegee Heirs, Flames of Destiny. Super glad to have bought this. And speaking of Greg Burnham, I also grabbed this issue from Fairsquare Comics because, again, it's Black History Month. And what's really cool about Black History Month is you get a bunch of Black comics at retailers where you wouldn't have had it before. So one of the chains at my LCS had a copy of this, Little Rock Files, again, published by Fairsquare Comics. But Little Rock Files was created by Greg Burnham and Marcus Williams, that same team from Tuskegee Heirs, to be a part of the Noir is the New Black anthology, which is published by Fairsquare Comics. And so they did like a little 8 or 10 page story, which is actually included in this trade. But then they also put out a full-sized issue, which is this. This is a perfect bound issue. It's longer than 30 or 22 pages. It might be a 40 pager. I didn't even count. You know what? I can count because there are page numbers right here. So the A story is a 48 pager. Very cool. But the Little Rock Files is set in Little Rock, Arkansas in 1988. And this is a detective story. It's a noir detective story. This dude is a black police detective in Little Rock, Arkansas, trying to solve a crime, trying to solve a murder. And, you know, your typical detective fare ensues. We get to meet a cast of characters, including his little sister. We meet the district attorney or the defense attorney. We meet a lot of people as we're looking to see how this town, this sort of inner city of Little Rock operates. Really cool book. I read this in one sitting, loved it, and you should be on the lookout for my interview with Greg Burnham. It drops in a couple weeks. So that's dope. Little Rock Files, issue number 1. I'm ready for issue 2. I don't know when it's coming out, though. And the last in that sort of same string of books, also from Noir is the New Black. This is Watson and Holmes, A Scandal in Harlem. The Noir is the New Black line is, as it sounds, a bunch of detective stories by Black creators. So this Watson and Holmes basically is 5 different chapters of Watson and Holmes stories. This being a Black Watson and Holmes. We got some names on here like Brandon Easton, Stephen Grant, Lindsay Fay, Greg Anderson Ellisay from the Anansi or Isnana, the Were Spider series. So yeah, so this one I haven't read just yet. It just came in a few days ago, but I am still excited about it. This one's a little bit meatier, so this will probably be more of a weekend read than like reading in between filming videos. But I do love the art in here. There's different artists, different art styles, but it looks dope. Looks dope. I love a good detective story, and I love Black people. So, perfect combination, right? All right. So we are going to now kind of look at some of the newer Big 2 focused initiatives that we've had for Black History Month. So, of course, Black History Month actually started a little bit earlier with the release of DC Power and Marvel's Voices Legends #1. Both of those, if I'm not mistaken, came out that last Wednesday in January, so that they'd be on the shelves for the entire Black History Month. So, of course, I grabbed these. Now, I'm a little bit torn on these types of anthologies. Like, on one hand, I love the history that we see in Marvel Legends or Marvel Voices Legends. I love getting the profiles of comics creators from the past that maybe you didn't know were Black and hearing about some of the struggles they went through. There's an interview with Dennis Cowan in this Marvel Legends or Marvel Voices Legends issue. So there's a lot to like about the anthology. But I tend to get frustrated because, yeah, we're trying out new creators. Yeah, we're giving people new opportunities. Cody Ziegler is an alum of the Marvel Voices program, and now he's running things over at Miles Morales, and he's got a new Deadpool's comic coming out, right? So I enjoy that aspect. I think it's great for advancement. But I hate that the characters that are showcased in both Marvel Voices Legends and the DC Power anthology rarely get seen outside of these anthologies. And even as I'm filming this, we've already shifted the messaging from Black History Month to Women's History Month. And as quickly as these characters kind of came out to the spotlight and to the forefront, they are receding back in favor of whatever other representation we want to handle this month. And don't get me wrong, I am not against any form of representation. I think everyone deserves it. I just think the way the Big 2 applies it feels underhanded at times. As a fan, as a reader, as a customer, it can be overwhelming, as we're going to look at some of the stuff that's also come out to try to buy it all because you want to support it all. But it's just like, yo, spread it out a little bit. Like, the audience, we're here, we're waiting for things, but maybe we're not as big an audience as, you know, a publisher would need to justify putting some of these titles out on a regular or more consistent basis. So I wrote a piece about how I feel about all this, not only the treatment of the characters, but also the fact that we don't get a ton of like Black writers on ongoings at the big two. We kind of get like, we get the Marvel Unlimited, Infinity Comics, or you'll see them on like the Scholastic titles, but you rarely see creators of color on AAA, if you would, characters at the big two. So celebrations like this do fall a little bit flat for me, although each of these has really good moments. There's a Black Manta story in here that's drawn by Dennis Cowan, but written by Darren Bennett, who we know as a letterer. There's a lot of cool stuff in here. And if you want to know a great story to come out of DC Power, check out my interview with Morgan Hampton, which just came out today as I filmed this, Thursday, the 29th. So there we go. DC Power and Marvel Voices. That's my rant for Black History Month. Now let's go look at the celebrations. So, of course, DC and Marvel both have a program where they do variant covers for Black History Month. Let's just give, really cool characters a spotlight. And so this is the Black History Month variant for Captain America issue number 6. Captain America by J. Michael Straczynski. This is a cover by Matheus Manhanini for Black History Month. I want to say he's a Brazilian artist, if I'm not mistaken. But this image of Falcon as Captain America is amazing to me. I should say Sam Wilson as Captain America, because Falcon's a different person, or, Falcon as Captain America. You get what I'm saying. Anyway, this is my favorite of the Marvel Black History Month variant covers. I did not buy a lot of them because there were a lot of them and I got other things I needed to spend money on, but love this. This is my favorite of the Black History Month variant covers from Marvel this year. Let's mute these Discord notifications. And now let's look at this cover. This is the Black History Month variant for Miles Morales, Spider-Man issue 16. This features Miles, and if I'm honest, I don't know who that is with him. I'm assuming it's his girlfriend, Tiana. I believe her name's Tiana, dressed as a Statue of Liberty, or dressed in something green with a spider costume on. Who is this? Was she a new character created just for this cover? I don't know. But this is an image by Torrin Clark, who's one of my favorite cover artists at Marvel right now. He's taken that sort of painted style that Mark Brooks or maybe an Alex Ross has, but he does it digitally and it's always dope. He was doing the Miles Morales covers full time before we got the new relaunched series with Cody Ziegler. And for a long time, he was the reason I was even buying that series. So anyway, nice Torrin Clark variant. And the last of the Marvel Black History Month variants that I bought was this. This is Star Wars Mace Windu issue number 1. Now, I've sort of checked out of the Star Wars comics. There was just too many to collect. But this cover by Ken Lashley, I could not pass up. Honestly, there were a lot of really good covers for Mace Windu. The A cover was also by Matheus Manhanini. I liked it a lot, but it was a super simple image that we've seen before. This is Ken Lashley clearly drawing Samuel L. Jackson. And I think something about the face. I just like the face a lot. So really cool stuff. He just looks like he's about to say MFer while he swings that lightsaber at you. So there's that Black History Month variant for Star Wars Mace Windu number 1. I haven't read it. Couldn't tell you if it was good or not. But that's that. And now we can get to the DC Black History Month collection. I got a lot of DC Black History Month books. One thing I like about DC's Black History Month variant program that they do that Marvel doesn't is that DC will give all of the assignments to one artist. And so now you've got like a collection of covers with the same sort of theme or style, and they display well together. Last year it was, is her name Alexis Franklin, who did this sort of painted covers for DC's Black History Month stuff. I don't know. I wish I could remember. But before we even get to those, I got a few covers of my favorite Green Lantern, John Stewart. So DC did a reprint of the first appearance of John Stewart in Green Lantern, Green Arrow, issue 87. I didn't know they were even going to reprint this. I just walked into my LCS and it was there. I still need this original issue, but it's going for a lot of money, so I don't have it yet. So to have a reprint, that's the next best thing. So I grabbed that. I also grabbed the foil variant, which is straight up gimmicky, but I wanted it, so I have it. And then, we got to stop and have a moment of silence for what has to be the greatest Black history moment in the life and career of John Stewart. And that is this cover to Green Lantern War Journal, issue number 6 by Raza. Raza does these sort of 3D video game looking covers. But this right here is the best fade I have ever seen on John Stewart. This is the haircut of his life. He should never, ever go to a different barber. And that's Black history in itself. So there we go. John Stewart. Now I can show you my DC Black History Month covers. All of them done by a friend of the channel, Nicholas Draper Ivy, who I also interviewed on the podcast just about a week ago. So if you missed out on that, check out that conversation. I think you'll enjoy it. It's been our most popular interview yet. And that's saying something, considering I also interviewed Christopher Priest. That's amazing. Anyway, these are in no particular order, but we got a Black History Month variant by Nick for Speed Force, issue number 4, featuring Wally West, Wallace West, Ace West, Kid Flash. Very cool. Lightning Bolt part. Pretty good Caesar. He's even got the waves. I like it. We've got another variant for Action Comics issue 1062 featuring Natasha Irons, Steel. I like this. This is one of my favorites. We've got another for Outsiders issue number 4 featuring Batwing. And this might be the standout favorite. I don't know. It's hard to choose. This one's up there. This is top 3 for sure. It's definitely not number 3. Next up, we've got the variant cover for Wonder Woman. Yeah, Wonder Woman issue number 6. This is featuring Nubia, of course. Very nice. Love that. We got another one for Titans issue number 8 featuring Cyborg. Nick also did a cover for Cyborg. I want to say it was issue number 1. He did a 1 in 25 variant. I really, really liked that one. I don't know if I like this image of Cyborg more than I like that issue of Cyborg, but this is a really good issue or image of Cyborg. So that's dope. Next up, we've got another Green Lantern War Journal issue number 6 variant. This is the Black History Month variant by Nick Draper Ivy. A full body shot of John Stewart. I like it. I like it. This one's not my favorite of these, but I do think it's dope. The colors make it. Like, I like the stars. I like the sort of dark void and then the light radiating out of the Green Lantern ring. It's dope. Another of my favorites is this. This is Jay Garrick, The Flash, number 5. This is an image of Mr. Terrific and his T-spheres. Something about those T-spheres in the fore and background just really make this image for me. And the fact that they're glowing. Very, very nice. And I think this is the last one. But the last Black History Month variant from DC Comics this year was for Green Arrow, issue number 9, featuring Connor Hawke, who I did not know was Black. Apparently his mom is Black and his dad is Green Arrow. So white. But really, really cool stuff. So those were the DC Black History Month variants. Now, do I wish we would get spotlights on some of these characters more often? Yes. I am excited to say, though, like, at least on the DC side, every character that was featured on one of these covers has had major appearances in series recently. Connor's in the Green Arrow book. Kid Flash is in Speed Force. Natasha has been in Action Comics and in Steel. Outsiders does feature Batwing as like the lead of the team. Nubia had been given a few different miniseries in the last 2 years or so. She did make a very brief appearance in Wonder Woman earlier, but so far she's just kind of chilling out on Themyscira. Cyborg is definitely front and center in the Titans and had his own series written by Mo Hampton. And of course, Green Lantern War Journal, John Stewart is the star of that show. So I do love that at least everybody featured on these covers has had their sort of time in the sun. Oh, and Mr. Terrific has been in Flash. So there's that. Good job, DC. Now, the last two books, I'm working on a video, and you hopefully, if I did this right, you've already seen that video on the channel. But my big Black History Month project is documenting or talking about the creation of the first Black comic, the first comic published, written, and drawn by Black people. You got to go all the way back to 1947 for that, with the publication of a book called All-Negro Comics #1. So if you haven't watched my deep dive on that, check it out. Hopefully the link is up there, and I published it before I published this. But just in case you haven't seen it, this is that. This is the All-Negro Comics 75th anniversary hardcover. This was kickstarted by former Marvel editor and creator of the Marvel Voices anthology program, Chris Robinson. But he did this Kickstarter 2 years ago to celebrate the 75th anniversary of All-Negro Comics. And if you're not familiar, this is All-Negro Comics. This is fully remastered. So we're getting these stories like with sort of renewed inks and colors, not redone, but just remastered. And it's really cool. It's written by it's published by Orrin Evans, who was a groundbreaking Black journalist. I'll let you watch the video to get all the full history. But this was an anthology issue, kind of like the same as all the other anthologies at the time, Action Comics, Sensation Comics. But this is done entirely by Black cartoonists and writers. In most cases, the artists are the ones writing the stories. So cool stuff. This gets you the debut of Lion Man, who has an origin and some aspects of the story that kind of remind you of bits of Black Panther. There's a prose story in here called Ezekiel's Manhunt. There's a really funny story called Sugarfoot that follows Sugarfoot and Snake Oil. Really cool stuff. So this hardcover has remastered version of that entire anthology issue, some essays, and then new stories by, modern creators featuring some of those same characters. Now, any anthology is going to be a hit and miss, but this is such a great, huge piece of Black comics history, all the way in 1947. So All-Negro Comics 75th anniversary hardcover. I got mine from Hive Comicade, who does still have a few in stock, but when they're gone, because this was a Kickstarter. So get it as soon as you can. And on that note, the last thing that I've got here, when I was doing my research for the All-Negro Comics video, I came across this company that does reprints of a bunch of Golden Age stuff. They had a reprint of All-Negro Comics, but I opted for that hardcover because it's such better quality. And I wasn't sure, hey, where does the money even go? Is it just going to this publisher who is basically just reprinting books that they think are in the public domain? And the answer is yes. That's exactly what's happening. That money is not flowing through to those creators and their families. So hopefully the Kickstarter actually did flow through. But while I was doing that research, I also grabbed this. This is a reprint of Negro Heroes #1. This is a 10-cent comic published by the National Urban League. And it basically is telling nonfiction stories of real life Black historical figures. So we got George Washington Carver, the first Black man to go to the North Pole, and some other stuff. I haven't fully read it yet, but as you can see, it's just it's a reprint of some high quality scans, or at least the highest quality scans available at the time. But it's very much of its time. But I just thought it would be a cool thing to own and to be able to look at, to see what type of stuff, because this was also published originally in 1947. So Negro Heroes #1 from Golden Age Reprints. And you can find Golden Age Reprints on Amazon still. So there you go. That was part 2, giving you the rest of my Black History Month comics haul. I bought so many comics this month. I basically spent all the birthday money I got last month on Black comics. And I couldn't be happier that I did it. First time that I was able to do that in a while. And it probably won't be the last. But I hope you enjoyed this overlong haul video. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of what I showcased in either of these videos and what you're most excited to hear about in the comments down below. Huge shout out to the channel family for keeping the lights on around here and making this video possible. And I will see you all in another video real soon. Till then, stay safe, stay awesome, and read something dope today. Peace.